Hello and welcome everyone to this week's COT review. I'm Thomas from COTbase.com. Today we're going to be looking at the 38 Commitment to Traders report of 2019, and we shall start this COT review with the dollar index, where we had a 48% change in commercials positions and 50% change in large speculators. Huge changes. It's pretty obvious if you look at the charts over here. We are of course looking at a 1-year time frame, and you may see a few examples of larger changes, but the one that we've just got from this recent report is definitely the greatest change in the past 52 weeks. And of course, what does it tell us? It's telling us the story of the dollar index moving lower early next week. That's what we can expect from a COT change signal. Now, of course, we should always keep in mind the medium and longer term perspective, and that's why we're going to open this 5-year chart and examine a little bit the COT Extreme situation, which, as you may see, has been moving away from this level, this bullish extreme, in the past 2 years, going towards the bearish side of the market. We're not there yet. I mean, by there I mean an all-time or close to all-time COT Extreme, which would be an obvious situation. So the example I'm just showing you from March of 2015 was a fabulous bearish COT Extreme signal in the dollar index, giving us that top over there. Now, of course, we're not at those levels, and we can expect this gradual change in traders' positions to continue on for many months before the market reacts. So we can easily find the dollar index much higher in the medium to long term, even if we see a bit of a decline in the near term. Russell 2000 mini is our next market, 31% change over there. Just going to go over to the 1-year chart. So we have a 31% change in commercials, 26% change in large speculators. Again, we can talk about or we can state that this is a large, much greater change than average if we look at the weekly changes in traders' positions. But here, as you can see, we already had a drop in the market, so this signal could be a little bit late for us to act upon. Nevertheless, moving on to the 5-year chart, we can examine the extreme, which, as you may see, has been moving away from this bullish level. Of course, there's some space left to reach bearish COT extreme levels that you can, of course, easily identify by looking at this 5-year chart. I wouldn't say that there's too much opportunities here. Maybe it's best just to move on and search for a better, more clear picture. And maybe soybean oil is going to be the next market that's going to give us that. So here we have a 28% change in commercials positions, 29 in large speculators. There's small 10% change in small speculators, not really worth mentioning. Again, this is a bearish change signal suggesting some further weakness coming early next week. Of course, caution is advised since we've experienced some decline, but of course this can easily continue, so that shouldn't be a problem. If we open the 5-year chart, you can see that basically the two most extreme situations, you may find here a bullish extreme from September of 2018, which by the way was actually a very successful signal in the beginning, and the most bearish extreme back over here in 2016, giving us this wonderful selling opportunity. And we're more or less in between the two extremes, maybe getting closer and closer to relative bearish COT extreme. So if you find an opportunity from other analysis to go short here, you might be happy with this COT report, because both the COT signal and the COT change signal and the COT extreme signal are seeming to be showing us a more bearish picture. Moving on to the large speculator COT Extreme, we have the New Zealand dollar on top of our list with a all-time COT Extreme. Of course, commercials also at their extremes, no question about that. And in fact, we don't need to go back so far to find an example of such an extreme. Back over here in October of last year, we had that bullish extreme, which was a very good buying opportunity. You can see how the New Zealand dollar moved higher afterwards. Now, of course, I always say this, I always repeat myself, but it's important for you to know such extremes, all-time COT extremes, although they sound very unique, and they are, because never in the COT history of the New Zealand dollar have large speculators being at that net short level, doesn't mean that this can't grow further on for a couple more weeks. So this decline in the New Zealand dollar could go on, and that's something you should keep in mind if you if you want to trade this this market. Sugar is our next market, all-time COT extreme over there, not only in large speculators but also in commercials. Of course, we talked about this last week. Picture has not changed dramatically. There's this bullish extreme expecting a major shift in the trend. Now here we have a more interesting market, because if you look back over here since mid 2017, we've actually been witnessing multiple bullish extremes, all-time extremes in the market without any reasonable change in the major trend. So that's something you should keep in mind over here. We talked about the dollar index, so we might as well jump over that and come to our last market for this review, which is the soybean meal market with 115 report extreme and large speculators. And you may also find commercials at bullish extreme levels. They're just above the zero line, being net long. You can see that in this past 5 years, there weren't too many cases when that was the situation, but when they were, when commercials went above the zero line, became net long, you may see that was actually a very good time to consider going long in the market. So soybean markets, of course, not just the meal, oil and the soybean market are great markets to do a COT analysis on. So here we have a wonderful bullish picture developing for us, and this could be a good opportunity. So of course, don't forget, you can look at a lot of other markets and do a more in-depth and detailed COT analysis. I hope you enjoyed this review. I appreciate your attention, and I hope to see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.